Hi, third graders. Today we're going to do language work text page 62, and we're continuing looking at the use of commas in sentences. We've talked about commas following yes or no at the beginning of a sentence. When we're talking directly to someone, we use commas before or after that name, depending upon where it's found at the beginning, end, or the middle of the sentence. And in our last video, we talked about using commas between items when we're listing them in a series. When you have 3 or more, we have to put a comma between them. And otherwise, we talked about that. Otherwise, the words look like you're not talking about individual items. Instead of 3 things, it looks like there's only 2 items. And it gets confusing for the sentence reader. And this way, you're communicating better with the use of the commas. Today we're looking at commas, the use of commas when we are talking about a city and a state. So when you use the name of a city and state or city and country together in a sentence, you must use a comma between them. If it's at the beginning of the sentence, you'll put a comma between the city and state, but also after the state. And if you look there in the colored box, they give you some examples. When we use Cheyenne, Wyoming, at the beginning, notice that there's a second comma here after the name of the state. Whereas in the second sentence, they use the city and state at the end. Because it's followed by a punctuation mark, there's no need for a comma. Sorry, we're getting a glare there from our light. All right, hopefully that's better. Here at the second point at the bottom, reminding though, when you're only talking about the name of the state or the name of the city by itself, there's no comma needed. There's no need to separate them so people understand that you're talking about a city and a state. Let's do some together. Usually that makes it a lot more clear when we take time to do that. Now, you'll notice a lot of our sentences here are talking about the state of Wyoming. And really for third graders, the problem for us is that we're not that familiar with our states or some of the cities in our country. It makes it just a little bit difficult. The nice thing is we've been doing some work with states on our language paper and also in our history studies. And we will continue to start learning more about those states so you can become familiar with them and some of the names of their cities. And that will help you when you're writing sentences to know that you need to use those commas. Let's start with number 1. In Jackson Hole, Wyoming, there are 4 giant arches made of elk antlers. Here we have Jackson Hole, that's the name of the city, and Wyoming is the name of the state. So we're going to need to put a comma after Jackson Hole, and because it's not at the end of the sentence, a second comma after Wyoming. Let's do another one here, number 2. A statue of Abraham Lincoln stands next to the highway near Laramie, Wyoming. Again, we're using the state of Wyoming, so that should help you. Can you find the name of the city? I'm sure you said Laramie, that's right. So here we have to put a comma between the two to denote that they're not the same thing, that we have a city and a state, but Wyoming comes at the end of the sentence. There's a period there, so I don't need to add the second comma. You ready to do some on your own? Well, let's do number 3 together, and then I'll have you do 4 and 5 on your own. If you travel near Beaufort, Wyoming, you will see a tree growing out of a big rock. Again, we have the state of Wyoming. Beaufort's the name of the city. Plus, it starts with a capital. So we're using some of our, some of our clues in our text here. We've got a capital letter. We know that it is a proper noun. And again, the state's in the middle. So we have to put that second comma after Wyoming. Now I want you to do 4 and 5 on your own. Read the sentence through, put in the missing commas. You can pause the video while you do that, and then we'll check your answers. So you've already done 4 and 5. Let's see how well you did. In number 4, Cody's the name of the city. Wyoming's the state. So you put a comma there. And because it's in the middle of the sentence, we have to put the second comma after Wyoming. And number 5, Rock Springs is the name of the city. So again, we're separating Rock Springs from Wyoming. Again, it's not at the end. So we have to put that second comma after the state name Wyoming. It's helpful that we're using the same state in the sentences. And think B, they want us to now not only put the commas between the city and states, but they're going to make us practice things we've been learning all along, like using capital letters in the right places. All right, so for number 1, it says Abraham Lincoln was born in Hodgenville, Kentucky. Well, let's focus on the capital letters. That probably, you notice that right away. Abraham Lincoln, it's going to need to be capitalized. The H in Hodgenville and the K in Kentucky. Kentucky's a state. Hodgenville's a city. So right here, we're going to put a comma. Now we get to rewrite it. So grab your pencil and let's do this together. Abraham with a capital A, right? Lincoln with a capital L, was born. Yours is going to look better than mine. This marker is not the easiest to write with. Your pencil will do a much better job. Hodgenville, comma, capital K, Kentucky, right? Names of cities and states are always capitalized, and a period at the end. Okay, looks good. Number 2, we saw a beautiful sunset in Green River, Wyoming. Missing capital letters. Oh, you guys are getting good at these, right? Green River's the city, comma, and a capital W on Wyoming. You ready? Let's write it together. Grab your pencil. Capital W on we saw. I'm going to have to come down here for space. Beautiful. Lots of vowels in that one. Sunset in capital G in green. I forgot my I. Someone's telling me that. Green River, comma, capital W on Wyoming. I had to squeeze it in. Don't forget the period at the end. I was writing off the screen. There we go. Perfect. Let's look at the bottom. We made it. We're almost done here. It says try some other cities and states. Use proofreader marks to add the necessary commas. And the proofreader mark, remember, it's just kind of that point, right? A little arrow that goes up. Jack and Julia live in Pensacola, Florida. And you're right. We put a comma right there. Battle Creek, Michigan is where breakfast cereal is made. Right? Battle Creek is the name of the city, comma. Michigan is the state, comma. Great job. And you guys with your pencil can do this a little bit easier, but I will try with my marker, making that little proofreader mark. Did the Herrings move to Athens, Georgia? Athens is a city, so we put a comma there. Georgia is a state. No second comma needed because it's at the end, just like in number 1. Number 4, we enjoyed the fair in Tulsa, Oklahoma last October. Can you find the name of the city? Right, Tulsa is the name of our city. Oklahoma is the state. So again, we put a comma between them and a proofreader mark, comma after Oklahoma because it's not at the end of the sentence. One more. Let's drive to Baton Rouge, Louisiana this weekend. Baton Rouge is the name of the city. Put a comma there. Louisiana is the state. Again, second comma after the name of the state. Great job. I have a feeling by the time you got to the end, it's pretty easy. It gets a little harder when we have a sheet that puts all the rules together. figuring out which ones to use when. But today's paper, we're just really focusing on the cities and states. So try to remember this and keep it in your files, in your commas files, so you can pull it out and use it in our future worksheets. I look forward to seeing you in our next lesson for language page 63, some more work with commas. Bye. See you next time.